Today we are talking about simulating cotton harvesting using a dynamic simulation model. This first episode is an introduction to the model. Alright, well today we're going to show a Stella model. It's used to do dynamic simulation. This model is developed to show how you can do a comparison between a conventional cotton harvesting model and with the potential to look at maybe a replacement for that using a bot harvesting model. Well, what can this model do? Well, it basically, first of all, since it's a dynamic model, it basically simulates a year of cotton harvesting. And by doing that, we have rainfall and hurricanes be random events that could occur during the season. So let's say we might have 300 hours in a normal year for cotton harvesting. Thanks to the dynamic and Monte Carlo nature of the rainfall and hurricanes, it can actually be maybe less than that or more than that depending on how many rainfall events you can have. So that's the first thing it does, is going to show the progress of the cotton harvest as the bolls ripen and they're ready to be picked, as well as rainfall events that might occur in there. Next, it's going to be able to show you how much it costs to actually operate the traditional method of picking cotton, and that's with the Deere onboard module building system. And these machines typically cost over $1 million. And that's one of the reasons why we're looking at some other tools maybe to harvest cotton here. So the first thing this model is going to do is show the cost to actually operate that conventional Deere system. And then, since that's a very expensive system, we'll be looking at ways that maybe we could replace that in the future, with the idea being we will develop a cotton picker bot that would be smaller. It would cover a lot less ground per time, but you could have multiples of these little pickers running across the field that might be able to be in the field at a longer time period. And it's going to show us what it would cost to actually build one of these that would actually then be competitive with the conventional cotton picker system. Alright, well in this first episode we're going to kind of basically show you what goes into the model and how it's going to run. Again, this model was written in Stella, and Stella has a nice aspect that you can actually promote this as an online tool that you can use and simulate things. So this is what I'm going to show you guys today, the introduction to this tool and how it can be used. All the back side of things with the actual model is kind of hidden away in this. So when you first open this model up, this is kind of what you see. It's basically a home page. I'm in the process of kind of building this out right now. So when you first come here, you can come over here and click and actually see the story behind this. This hasn't been fleshed out fully, but it might give you an idea of what's happening behind the scenes in this. So if you click over here on the story of opening a cotton module, and then you can see that brings up what's the first stock that actually goes in the model. And it's basically the potential cotton to harvest, which is the cotton that you have in the field. And if you actually double click on this or click on this, it kind of brings up a little note for what's actually doing in this. So it explains everything as we go along. And then if you come down here and click on the next page, it shows you the next step of the model. So now we start to see, in addition to the stocks, we start to see some flows and some control variables. So this is the way that we can lose cotton through weather events. We can have daily hurricane possibilities. That makes a hurricane happen at certain points during the year, possibly, not necessarily, because the chances of a hurricane are fairly low. And then we have daily probabilities of getting rain. So this is going to be higher than what the hurricane probability is, and you're more likely to get rain, obviously, during the season than you are a hurricane here. But it kind of builds the model step by step, and it kind of shows you everything that goes into the Stella model behind the scene here. So again, this is still being kind of fleshed out, but this is kind of the first stage for that. We can come back to the home page then, and we can look at the story of how the cotton bolls would actually open. Again, we see another starting point with a stock of potential cotton to harvest. Again, that shows you some information about what goes into that. And we click on the next page, and that brings us to how that model actually starts to work with cotton being taken out of the field here. So again, you can see another flow and a control variable. These are all things you can click on and see what's going in there. So again, this model is fairly complex and robust, so I don't have all of it in here. I just kind of have the first two pages for what's going on. And then I get back to the home page by clicking here, and then you can see that we move back to the story of opening the cotton bolls again. So this first page is designed to be kind of an explanation of what's going on behind the scenes, even though in the particular model you don't really have access to actually running it. The idea here is to show you actually how the model is built. Well, to actually run this, and the way I anticipate most users doing this, there's a set of common inputs that you can click by going this screen. This would apply to things that would apply to both the conventional harvesting season picker and also to the bot system that we're talking about as a potential replacement. And you can see some of the variables that we're going to be able to input. They're graphical like this, and we also have some that are going to be more numeric. So like for these graphical variables, you can click on these, and then they would show you exactly things you can change here. So across time, you can see across 60 days of time, we anticipate bolls to fully open here. Well, this is kind of the distribution for how those cotton bolls would open across time like this. And you can change that graph just by kind of dragging on this. Same thing with these other variables that are going lost. If you have normal rainfall events, you can see, well, certain amounts of rainfall, you may get more cotton loss, and you can adjust how that might affect things. So it would take a pretty big rainfall here to really get significant cotton loss, whereas you get a smaller amount of rain, like 1 to 2 inches, you would have maybe like probably a 1 or 2% type loss. So that's what that's supposed to do. The same thing with how that would affect prices, because we assume that rainfall affects not only the potential yield but also the quality and then the prices. We can adjust how often we actually think it's going to rain by the probability of rain in any given day, and then the amount of rain it is raining here, as again, as another distribution. You can do the same thing with the hurricanes. And then also on the common inputs, we have a way to look at the acres and the interest rates and the potential harvest days in a season. Then we have some inputs that are going to be unique to both the bot system over here, and I'm going to talk about this in the next video, but there's inputs you can change for the bot system, inputs you can change for the Deere system, and then we get two sets of outputs. We get outputs over here for looking at the potential cost over here that are machinery related, and then we also have outputs that are related to the rainfall and the hurricanes and how much we actually get as far as damage and price reduction. So again, I will talk about these in the next two videos, looking at the inputs as one video and then looking at the outputs as another video. So that'll be it for this introduction to the cotton harvest simulation model.